My daughter and I have owned and operated a busy quilt shop in Washington State for over 20 years. We have a retreat center, an active YouTube channel, and a large pattern line featuring our creations. My two sons work on machines. One daughter-in-law is our videographer and the other is a long-arm quilter. We are a family that love each other, we laugh together, and every once in a while we get some work done. We have a crew that are saints for their efforts at keeping us on track. Thanks for joining us on our wild ride. So if you are new to our channel, then you may or may not know that I own a quilt shop in central Washington State. We've had the quilt shop for 22 years, and I often talk about Minky. We've done over 400 videos, lots of different quilt classes, and oftentimes I'll put Minky on the back. Minky is a fabric that is 100% polyester, super soft, and it's one of those that once you've cut it and you have all of the nap kind of out of the way, there isn't any other raw edge. So you can bind it if you want to, you don't have to. You can do any kind of an applique that you'd like. You still have to stitch it down, but again, you don't have that raw edge. So I like it. It washes great. It's really good for kids because you can throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, and a year of washing it twice a week, it's still going to look fantastic. So what we're making today is a Cuddle Buddy, and what that is basically a Minky blankie with a stuffed animal attached. So the first time that I did this, it almost made me physically ill to actually cut into a stuffed animal. So you do have to do that. It's a little bit gruesome, but I just have to say that sometimes stuffed animals end up in toy boxes, they end up in the tops of closets, they end up outside, dogs get a hold of them. But if you've attached it to Minky, it will have this endless life as a blankie. So it's actually a good thing. So what you want to do is select whatever kind of a stuffed animal that you'd like. You can see that on our pattern, which is available below as a download or a purchased hard copy pattern. It's just a $5 pattern, but you can see that I had a pink Minky and I picked a zebra. For this one, I picked this guy. I think that he's kind of nice. He's a little bit bigger, but what you have to do is you have to take out half of the stuffing. So what you're going to do with him is you're going to just open him up in the back, reach in and take out all of that stuffing. You can reuse that if you're making a pincushion or something, but we're going to take all of that out and then make sure that you leave the stuffing in his arms and make sure that you leave it in his feet. And then you can go ahead and sew down just a little bit. We're going to cut him right there, and that will be in the seam allowance. But if there is any little bit of a hole up here, you're going to want to go ahead and sew that, and you'll see that in just a second. So once you've prepared him, let's talk about the Minky. So I'm making this one for a little bit larger boy, so I have selected the 90-inch wide Minky, but otherwise Minky usually comes 60 inches wide. So it's normally from salvage to salvage, it's normally 60 inches. You can see that this one is 90, so I have it folded here. So what you're looking at is a 45-inch by, this is a yard, by 36 inches. This is the size that I'm going to make my blanket. And on the pattern, it suggests that you start with a yard, which again would give you a 36 by 60. You're going to cut it in half on the fold right there so that you would have two pieces that would be 36 by 30. Mine is going to be 36 by 45. I'm going to cut this right here, and then I'm going to be right back. Okay, so I have cut this apart down here, and I just want to mention that this is the stuff that happens. You know, we call it Minky guts, or, you know, it's just this little, it's just the nap. It is a little bit messy at first, the first time that you cut, and you'll see just those little bits. See? Kind of get everywhere. But once you've cut it the first time, it doesn't keep doing that. If you have some very large Minky project that you're doing and it's a really hairy piece of Minky, I usually suggest just cutting it outside, giving it a good shake before you come in, and then you won't have that stuff all over the house. But I also say that it is absolutely worth it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have these two pieces. I'm going to take one, and I'm just going to go ahead and set it aside for right now because it's going to be the back. And then I need to cut this one. And I'm going to lay this out on my mat, and we're going to get a closer up picture so that you can see where I'm going to cut. Okay, what we're going to cut is we're going to measure 12 inches down on one side and 12 inches down on the other. And so I have this laying on my mat so I can kind of see where it is, but you can see I'm an inch in. So technically 12 inches is going to put me right on the 13 here and right on that 13 right there. So I'm going to take my ruler and put it from there to there. So I'm right on that side, right on that side. I do see that I've got my selvage there, but I'm going to do a large enough seam that it's not going to matter. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut. All right. So this is my little edge right here. Now before we go up and do anything else, I want to mention one other thing, and that is this product. It's called Sticky Solvy, or Sticky Fabri-Solvy technically. And so what it is it's exactly what it says. It's very sticky and it dissolves in the water. So this is a 1 yard package. 1 yard is going to last you for lots and lots of projects. This one, what I did is I went ahead and cut it up into little strips. These are probably roughly 1/2 inch strips. It can be any width you want, it doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is take this off, and see it's sticky. I'm going to go ahead and put it down right on my edge here, because the deal with minky is that along this selvage edge here, it's not stretchy. Do you see that? That if I pull that, it doesn't stretch. But across here, super stretchy. And of course along the bias, it's going to be even worse. So whenever you're sewing anything together, if you're sewing with minky and you find that it's way too slippery and it's really driving you nuts, then what you can do is you take this, and what it's doing is it totally stabilizes that edge. You can use this on anything. It doesn't have to be just minky, but what happens is there's no more stretch in there. That stickiness is just holding it in place. I can sew right through that. My machine doesn't care at all. It doesn't do anything weird to the needle or to the thread. And then I don't do anything else. After I'm all done, eventually the first person who washes this, that will dissolve in the water. But until then, no one really knows that it's there. So I'm going to add it to both sides, and I may add it to the outside edge. Probably not. I feel fairly confident working with minky, but if you find it to be a little bit slippery, you can add it on an outside edge. All right, but at least on this, that's what I would do. All right, I'm going to set this aside for a second, and then we're going to go ahead and operate on the dog. All right, so this is the gruesome part. We're not going to actually show it on camera, but what's going to happen is, since he's nice and flat right here, we just have to make sure we have enough for a seam allowance. And so we're going to cut right here. It really doesn't work very well with a rotary cutter and a ruler, so I'm going to use scissors. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so it's done, and again, it does seem like kind of a gruesome thing to do, but these are things you can, I know that I've seen them in the store. They're very expensive to buy this way, but it is something that you can easily reproduce. Well, easily if you don't mind the whole severing the body thing. So we're going to put his bottom half to the side for just a second, and I'm going to show you that what we're going to do is take this part here where we've cut this, and we're going to put right sides together. So I'm going to lay this down. This is that part that I cut, and he's actually going to be just like this, right, in the blanket. So I'm going to lay him down, right sides together. You can see that we stitched up that spot that was open. Lay this up here. And then I'm going to take this other part that I had cut. It goes like this. I'm going to lay that over, and I'm going to pin it really well. So I'm going to make sure that I've pinned through all of this and through all of these layers so that I can make sure and sew through both of these layers of the dog and both of the layers of the minky. And actually, since this is going to be a child's blanket, I'm going to sew one seam and then I'm going to go back and sew it a second time just to make sure that it is nicely adhered so that nobody's going to pull on anybody. So I'm going to pin really well, sew, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to hold him up in a second. We have him sewn on. So he looks like this. He's just holding his little blankie here. So he's all sewn on. So now we have to do the other half. And so what I did is I laid this out so that I know that I have the right side. So this was the front of the blanket, the back of the blanket, opposite diagonal corner. We're doing exactly the same thing. So you can see here that I lined it up exactly the same way. I cut 12 inches down. I've put my sticky solvy on there, and using right sides together, I'm going to put the other half in there, right sides together, pin it really well, and sew through all 4 layers, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so this is the back of the blanket. That will look like this, right? This is little, and then this is the front, and see, he's very happy. He's just great. So all happy, all snuggly. So now all I'm going to do, I'm not going to put any batting in this at all because I don't want to have to quilt it. I just want it to be soft and plush, no batting of any kind. I'm just going to go ahead and lay him down, put right sides together, make sure that I have the head at one corner, the bottom at the other corner. I'm just going to pin it, and again on this stretchy side here that's not the selvage side, if you feel like this is a little stretchy and you don't want to deal with it, again that's where that sticky solvy comes in. Just put a little bit on this edge, the bottom edge, the other 2 sides. Here where the selvage is, it's not going to stretch, and you'll be all right. So all the way around, leave just a little opening so I can turn it right side out, and then I'm going to top stitch all the way around. The main reason that I top stitch is because I like that finished look. It's not really necessary for the integrity. You would have to whip stitch that closed, but I just like that little top stitch look. So anyway, that's it. And then I am done and he is ready for snuggling. So thank you so much. I hope that it wasn't too gruesome, and I hope you feel like it would be something kind of fun to do for somebody who's sort of in between and they really like their little stuffy and they like their soft little blankie. I think that it's a really nice mix. Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.